Hey everybody. Somebody asked me to do a story on this particular piece right here about Alex Jones doing an interview with David Duke that Alex Jones never aired. Well, it's not going to take me creating a video to already expose what Alex Jones obviously has done to himself by not airing this interview. He's done something to himself that it doesn't take me anymore to add to it to make you see something that is already there. I don't make hit pieces on other people's channels. We're all adults here, able to discern everything on our own, and you guys are already making your discernments about what you're seeing in this instance here. But I like to think of this another way. I like to think of it as, rather than going after the puppet, I would rather go after the puppet master. If a puppet is up on stage and making fun of me in the audience, I'm not going to go up to the stage and kick the crap out of the puppet. I'm going to kick the crap out of the people who are pulling the strings of the puppet. And that's what I'm going to do here in this story. All right? Now, some of the material that David Duke talked about fits in line with what I want to present right here. Let's listen to something that David Duke had to say.
The Jews have become the American elite. So if you want to talk about the elite in this country, I believe they are tribalists. And I'm not a mirror image of Al Sharpton, because I believe it's my people that are going to become a minority in the world. Now, I respect all people. And if I were president of the United States, I wouldn't be having this globalist agenda. And I certainly wouldn't be invading these countries in these wars for Israel and Iraq and Afghanistan. I certainly wouldn't be supporting the Goldman Sachs of the world. That's the biggest predator, the most evil predator international bank in the world. It is a Zionist institution, and it not only controls international banking, or has a great effect of it, it literally picks who's going to be in our Treasury Department, basically, and the people who have the power in the Federal Reserve. It is a Zionist operation, and it's also the chief corporate contributor. Take a look at the Goldman Sachs, again, what I've showed you. It's the chief corporate contributor of both Democrats and Republicans in the United States of America.
David, I won't debate you there.
Now, one could see that as Alex Jones cutting him off right there after David Duke just exposed Goldman Sachs as being one of the biggest players behind the government, right? We know the pharmaceutical industry, we know the banking industry, we know the oil industry are all behind Monsanto, everybody else. They are really the force, the cabal corporations of the United States, right? So why did Alex Jones cut him off after David Duke started exposing Goldman Sachs? Well, interestingly enough, Goldman Sachs was one of the banking corporations that received the bank bailouts from the U.S. government. And shortly after that happened, we saw that a lot of the big execs of Goldman Sachs received raises, all from the money that the U.S. government used of the taxpayers to bail out the banks. So essentially, the banks were laughing all the way to their own bank, right? So what do we know about Goldman Sachs? Was David Duke right about the invasion of other countries at the behest of these corporations, such as Goldman Sachs? Let's take a look. And you make the nexus here. You make the nexus. Are these banking like Goldman Sachs behind like invasions of Afghanistan, Silicon Valley, Goldman Sachs, Tesla batteries, and Afghanistan equals the Afghani scam? 1 trillion inside market monopoly scheme that blew up. That's right. The New York Times, U.S. identifies vast mineral riches in Afghanistan. The United States has discovered nearly 1 trillion in untapped mineral deposits in Afghanistan. What were those minerals? Lithium. What the hell is the United States doing over there digging around in the mineral deposits of Afghanistan when they're supposed to be over there rebuilding the war-torn country of Afghanistan after they invaded? So what are they doing over there making money? What has Afghanistan got to show for these deposits that the United States, is the United States laying claim on the lithium deposits? I bet you they are, just like the poppy industry, just like many other things that they've probably taken from the Afghani country, right? So let's take a look at how Goldman Sachs plays out in all of this. Lithium, the backbone to the exploding battery market. The age of electrification across the transportation sector and the solar panel revolution. We just saw the big, huge debacle of Solyndra. Obama's involved, right? Goldman Sachs is involved. Goldman Sachs is involved with Silicon Valley, Tesla Motors, Elon Musk. Not since the shale boom have we seen a market transformation of such significance. Lithium has long been used for a variety of mundane purposes. Supply has always largely managed to keep pace with steadily rising demand for lithium, and while the mineral is slated for growth with or without the battery explosion, Tesla's Gigafactory will spark a phenomenal spike in demand that will be no less exciting than the shale boom. Tesla happened to take over the exact same factory that Solyndra was housed in. Right? Okay. Lithium-ion batteries power most of your devices that we use every day, from your iPads, your cell phones, your iPhones, your tablets, all of that. So big, huge market, right? Big, huge market, right? Goldman Sachs sees the car of the future, and yes, there is room for Tesla. Goldman Sachs released a 56-page report looking at the car of the future and finds that there are room for old-timers, but also upstarts like Tesla Motors. They explain the auto industry's need to embrace technological change is more urgent now than ever before. That's right, because there's money to be made for banking corporations like Goldman Sachs. But there's more. Goldman Sachs. Solar is on the way to dominating the electricity market, and the world has Elon Musk to thank. Oh, no, no, no. No, they don't. I'm going to show you who the world would really have to thank, right? Goldman Sachs has set an estimated date for when they believe residential solar power becomes competitive with existing electric across the U.S. It's relatively soon. Here's the timeline from clean tech analysts Brian Lee and Thomas Daniels, including Goldman Sachs' latest note on Tesla. First, assuming the Gigafactory, the giant manufacturing facility that will soon begin pumping out lithium-ion batteries to be used in both Tesla vehicles and renewable energy storage units, reaches its potential, the cost of said batteries should drop, right? So it's all about the lithium batteries here, folks. All about the lithium batteries. But does the world really have Tesla Motors and Elon Musk to really thank? Tesla is worse than Solyndra. As I already stated, Tesla has taken over the factory where Solyndra was housed at, right? So you guys all remember the General Motors and Ford. There was a huge bankruptcy stuff that was going on, Chrysler and all that, right? And wow, there shouldn't really be any room for upstart companies, or how about money coming by the federal government in ways of loans to really get these upstart companies going, especially when there is a big, huge bankruptcy going on with the auto industry at that time, right? So let's take a look. In 2009, as the financial crisis raged and General Motors and Chrysler plunged toward bankruptcy, Tesla Motors faced a seemingly impossible task, raising $500 million to build an electric car factory. Tesla had just staggered through a year of layoffs, canceled orders, and hold on a second, and record losses. So if you just went through a bunch of layoffs, canceled orders, and record losses, there is no way in the world that the government and the U.S. Department of Energy should be lending money to a company like that to kick off their business, right? Then suddenly salvation. The U.S. Department of Energy offered to lend the company almost $500 million at rock bottom interest rates. 4 years later, Tesla Motors offer a remarkable example of how a well-timed government investment in the right company can pay off. Just like the bank bailouts of Goldman Sachs and others by the U.S. government of the taxpayer money, it was the taxpayer money that was given to companies like Tesla Motors all behind the trillions of dollars to be made off of the lithium discoveries of Afghanistan. Bank corporations such as Goldman Sachs are all involved, and it is your money that is went to go fund it all, just like it was the taxpayer money that went to go fund the bailout of all of these banks such as Goldman Sachs. Now maybe you will see why Alex Jones may have cut off David Duke when he was exposing Goldman Sachs for being what they really are. Thanks, everybody.